Dr. Mahamadou Baumia. Kindly take your seats.
Praise the Lord who now as then reveals in man his story, his glory. Praise we the wise and brave and strong who graced their generation, who helped the right and fought the wrong and made our folk a nation. Our eternal God in whom we lean and do not fall. Indeed, every good and perfect gift comes from you. And we are grateful for the gift of the life of Nana Susubribi Krobia Asante, whom you give as a gift to this beautiful nation and to the world at large. Thank you for what he has stood for over the years. Thank you for this great gathering, Lord, here to celebrate this illustrious son of Mother Ghana. Thank you for the great mind that you gave him. Thank you for his leadership. And thank you for every blessing that has come from him. We pray that you bless this gathering, O Lord, everyone present. And as we pray, as we celebrate Nana, we also celebrate the blasters and pray for them, that your grace will be sufficient for them as they shine our flag outside. We pray for our dear nation, that you bless our homeland Ghana, and make our nation greater and stronger. Praying for everyone who serves, that, Lord, your grace will be sufficient and your mercy will continue to uphold us. Restore our fortunes, O Lord. Restore our fortunes. We pray in the name of God, his Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
My Lord Supreme Court Justices and Justices of Superior Courts, the Honorable Attorney General and Minister of Justice, Nananum, eminent personalities here gathered, ladies and gentlemen. When Nana contacted me to review his biographical essays and work at this launch, I was elated with a joy that felt like having received the news of a promotion to the pinnacle of a position at my workplace. Without meaning any exaggeration or giving to speaking in hyperboles, I am justified in saying that the rarity of Nana's standing in Ghana's public life and his immense and unique contributions to international civil service has meant that the enormity of the recognition accorded me by this task was not lost on me. Beyond this, however, I'm deeply happy, as we all should be, to be alive to witness this day, a day of testimonials and of confessions, even if at a largely professional and not so personal level, as Nana has written in his book. For the author has spoken the interstices of his professional life experiences, summarized the tapestry of his ideas and intellectual thoughts, and the impressions he formed of other stalwarts, as well as those shared of his work and professional life by others. Every now and then, one has the opportunity of peeping through the windows of a great man or woman's life through their written biographies. And beyond the learning and mentorship that comes with the discovery of their secrets and codes of success, I have quietly nurtured the penchant for learning of their human but sometimes also not so distinguished sides, such as lessons in failed love attempts, the times when they lied to their parents or children, or the low moment when they supported a football team that went into relegation, such as Hove or Odep. Perhaps you may consider this shameful of me, but I'm sure you can forgive me for knowing the very human dimensions or curiosity of a great man such as Nana, whom we celebrate today by his work. For in truth, significant mentors and achievers like Nana Asante tend to exude a perfection and a near excellence in public life that makes one wonder whether there are any practical and everyday downsides to their lives. In the case of giants like Nana, therefore, writing an autobiography should come with the very benefits and pains akin to that of a publicly listed company on the stock exchange. The company's desire for public ownership comes with the pain of forced disclosures it has to make. Today, Nana's desire to confer the benefits of his life's work, experiences, and scholarship on the current and coming generations comes with a compulsive opening up of his life in a rather intrusive way. Fortunately for Nana, however, perhaps to the reader's mild disappointment, this is a work which is largely touching on his scholarship, commingled with narratives on his years growing up and professional life. I particularly found the book a very enchanting and rewarding read. Employing a fluid and rather analytical writing style, the book introduces the reader to the author's wide diversity of knowledge and fertility of thought, straddling the spectrum of subjects, themes, and issues contained in the varied works he's written on. From property law through international law to transnational cooperation and investment law, Nana's is a rich journey of scholarship, juristic thought, and concrete contribution to the world he experienced and touched. Reading through his works as digested in the book, one becomes fortified in the view that few scholars have the intellectual erudition and scholarly finesse that Nana has and is so ably articulated in his essays. Your Excellency, his handling of complex polemics implicated in the themes discussed in his work reflects the calmness of spirit, but also the depth and strength of understanding of the subjects discussed. His mastery of topics dealt with and the authority of his pronouncements are apt to inspire the budding scholar and impress the learned. Few, if any, can dispute the claim. Of the many that Ghana has sent abroad on missions, Nana remains one of our country's finest and most consequential exports, whose work in the international community is only matched by his contributions at home. The sub-theme of the book succinctly captures the perfection of his life of humility, service, and excellence, a sojourn marked by episodes of tangible and path-breaking leadership and statesmanship. Thus, from tradition to diplomacy, our author's life mirrors the very essence of what it is good in the Ghanaian, the qualities of dedication, duty, and excellence. The book is peculiar for its numerous revelations on facts that should inspire every reader. Even for those who may be Nana's contemporaries, like the many who are gathered here today, I am confident that the facts relayed, will cast old knowledge in new lights and better refine perspectives on what has been known for years. In the spirit of generosity, however, I will reveal a few of these in my cryptic query, did you know? So, did you know that Nana and the legendary Ghanaian historian and politician, Professor Albert Eduboahin, were classmates? The book reveals this. Did you know that His Excellency, the late Busumuru Kofi Annan, never failed to return Nana's calls throughout his tenure as the UN Secretary General? The book says so. I'm sure that with this knowledge, many of us can learn the lessons in humility, if not courtesy, from the icon of international diplomacy. Did you know that the famed late Ephraim Amu was Nana's teacher in Achimota School? This surely must be one of the few things that can be classified as an experience to be had once in a lifetime. I'm not sure if Nana writes this in his CV, I would have. Perhaps the density of the CV would not allow that. Did you also know that the law as a subject was not Nana's originally preferred course, but he had to switch from reading history to law. Did you know that Nana had great lectures, including the well-known author on the law of thoughts called Streets, popularly used by students, called Street on Thoughts, and J.C. Smith, who is also famous for his book on evidence? Did you know that Mr. Jack Straw, the British Foreign Secretary, during the infamous Iraq War of the 1990s, was Nana's student at Leeds University, and once rose to his defense in a class situation involving Nana and some students? The book reveals this too, although Nana did not say whether he discussed the Iraq War with him while he was Secretary of the UK. Did you know that Nana provided advice on securing financing for the construction of the Pond hydroelectric dam? And did you know that Nana supervised the customary land law, even though he prefers to say it's in an honorary supervisory position, but he supervised the customary land law guru, at least known to many students, Professor Gordon Woodman, albeit in an honorary capacity, on his PhD thesis. I must confess that discovering this in particular represented an inflection point for me. For the truth is, I've always deeply admired Nana, even before I entered the university. But this discovery was truly humbling for many students who pass through the contemporary structures of the Faculty of Law at Legon know that the name Woodman is a legend in its own right. Did you also know that the Faculty of Law at Legon was originally located in the East Wing of the Baum Library? Certainly this was a discovery for me, having read his book. And that among the pioneer students were the late Justice Dr. Kluge and Hifron Benjamin, not a former justice of the Supreme Court, but his brother. And that the structures which housed the library were nearly washed away by rains in the early years of it being built. On this, I have to just also say that Nana contributed to the drawings. I'm not sure if that was part of the reason it was nearly washed. Nana's book contains many instances of exciting discoveries, of facts and critical history. I will return to giving you glimpses of what the book contains, although I can only scrap the surfaces of the many more things the reader will find when reading the material for himself. As will be apparent to any reader, this book is a gift unto cerebral hygiene, and the stimulating discussions on the topics treated remains intellectually stimulating or rewarding. On the question of the organization of the content, the structure of the book makes for easy reading. The overview contained in the introductory essays is as classic as it is illuminating. That the book details Nana's journey to becoming a lawyer, an academic and international civil servant is readily apparent once you start reading. The author uses the opening lines of the book to state his intellectual worldview and subterranean musings on the challenges that confronted and continue to beset the law as a tool of third world development. The author poignantly notes at page 7 of the book, quote, "My experience of observing the political culture of multi-party politics in Ghana and several developing countries has persuaded me that exclusive governance and extreme majoritarianism, which prevents an inclusive and consensual approach to national development, are detrimental to nation building and sustainable development. This phenomenon, ellipsis, is most inappropriate for plural societies such as ours, where political alignments are marked by sectarian, regional, ethnic, and religious factors," unquote. Any passive reader will readily concede that Ghana's politics, suffers from dysfunction, and to take the lead founding father, saying it, at least lead founding father having led the writing of the 1992 Constitution as the chairman of the Committee of Experts, which should certainly reverberate and get all of us pausing for some introspection. Nana's reflection in this chapter led him to draw the conclusion that the peculiar factors that inspired the Asian tigers to rise in the economic glory should also inspire us to our own development. Among the 6 listed factors, Nana reminded us of those countries' preference for meritocracy, and given the preeminence of favoritism, nepotism, tribalism, and other preferences promoted by corruption and other inducements, this advice should hit home in a rather intrusive way to the average reader of the book. His emphasis on the need for integrity in public life especially within the context of international negotiation, is notable. At page 10 of the book, our author forcefully argues, quote, development projects may be permanently flawed, national revenues may be scuttled, a country's balance of payment plans may be aborted, and indeed a government may be overthrown and political instability unleashed in consequence of scandalous and lopsided agreements inimical to the national interest, unquote. His critique of the time-honored international law principle of pacta sunt servanda, which simply means honor your obligations, is apt. Drawing on the inequities in transactions and negotiating power involving African chiefs and transnational corporations, and the general political economy surrounding colonial possessions and traditional actors in these states, Nana argues that these justified a nuanced usage of the concept, and for that matter, the liability of post-colonial states and people. Nana's eloquent statement of position on these controversial subjects has been well received in the legal academy globally, and critical plaudits given by scholars like Atuguba, McGraw, Chikata, and Kuya testify to the wide consensus engendered by his views and perspectives on the role law plays in international development and its concrete contributions to the cause. His intense scholarship and advisory opinions while working with the UNCTC helped shape a body of juristic thinking on international law as it relates to the TNCs and the predatory relationship that existed between these global giants and African governments and actors. Nana's realist views of things is aptly captured in Chachu Chikata's words when he said, quote, his has not been a commitment to law as a static, formalist construct, but rather a commitment fundamentally to the value of law and the legal learning for the well-being and progress of humanity, especially for addressing the challenges of the developing world. This has been the hallmark of his truly distinguished career at home and abroad. Nana's experience with handling the Kashmir issues during a student debate at Leeds is both apt to make one laugh and feel the chill of an African professor thrust in the midst of a boiling and endless geopolitical crisis in Asia. His own sense of humor in retelling the story and his early lessons of learning to listen to the premonitions and guts of his wife remains starkly instructive to the uninitiated of our time. The mixed emotions I experienced reading that part of the book also led me to the lessons of religion, geopolitics, and scholarly enlightenment, and how Nana's faith in the power of wit and neutral or objective academic facts articulated in debates were dashed with the triumph of emotions and entrenched nationalist sentiment on the day. His contributions to legal education in Ghana is adequately stated in the book, and the fact that he was one of the 5 founding lecturers of the Faculty of Law at the University of Ghana remains golden to his role and place in the pantheon of legal scholars and scholarship in Ghana and Africa. The sheer galaxy of lawyers and legal academics who formed the early crop of students to have passed through his hands should sound dazzling to the ears of any listener with relevant knowledge. The short list without their titles include Kluje, Hayfront Benjamin, Ken Yaboa, Akwaku Sapon, Amonu Mone, Sambadu, Furia Mankwa, Sechi Hughes, Dateba, Fiajo, Kwame Tete, Brobe, Bimpom Buta, Madibo Okran, and Atta Mills. His leadership of the Faculty of Law, in part, resulted in the recruitment of well-known faculty members and deans like Ecole Daniels, Ofosuama, and J.K. Ajiman. Our author's reflections on the deportation of 2 members of the Faculty of Law under the Nkrumah regime shows a man deeply affected by the development of an era called turbulent and difficult years for the Faculty of Law and Legal Education in Ghana. While Nana did not state in explicit terms the effect of these developments on the academic philosophy and fortunes of the faculty down the years, I am tempted to hazard a guess, namely, that the lasting legacy of this development outlived that era and continues till this day in the legal academy. Consistent with his reflections on nagging questions of education, scholarship, and academia, I found Nana's critique of academic formalism and ultra-dependence on Western scholarly sources in his book most heartwarming. His recognition of the flaws in a unilinear conception of development under Africa's progress has been inextricably tied to the westernization of its ways and institutions can hardly be overemphasized. Relying on scholars as Yanka, whose disenchantment with a uncritical preference for Western sources over and above those of Ghanaian and African sources, Nana reiterates an old problem. As a young academic, I've always found this enduring reality troubling and frustrating, since it forces the scholar to disown his own local knowledge and seek solutions to the challenges of his environment elsewhere. The resulting contradiction could be part of the reasons African scholarship only rests on bookshelves and file, once completed, but hardly impacts the world for which the researches were undertaken in the first place. And even when we find our own worthy of citation, we treat them as if they were materials whose shape us, having been deemed worthy merely because they appeared in Western journals. If academia is to lead changes in society, then why do we reflect very often the dead or dying learning of other people? In any case, why must we necessarily cite others, even when our own is not lacking, both in quality and quantity? For the truth is that path-breaking scholarship often have no prior precedents, but we often do want to look for others before we justify our own ideas. Ghanaian universities have downplayed their own journals in favor of Western universities, and the expression peer-reviewed journals have come to symbolize in reality Western journals. Capped with a condescending treatment by Western journals of third world scholarship in general, this has resulted in the untenable situation in which African and Ghanaian scholarship has generally suffered compared with others. Nana's terse but loaded question whether Ephraim Amu would have been elected a fellow of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences where we stand today before the inauguration of his lecture or a lecture in his honor reminds us as a people that we become obsessed with forms over substance. With impressions over content, Nana's praise of Dr. Amu is a fitting eulogy to a man whose work has in many ways come to define our musical identity as a country. Dare I say that with Nana's instructive reminder, we may have many Ephraim Amus walking the streets of Ghana who will never be acknowledged nor honored because they do not respond to the formal accolades of Ghanaian excellence, a doctor something or a professor something. Nana's advice is a timely reminder to us for a rethink and an about turn on our standards of assessment and acknowledgement of merit. I crave your indulgence, ladies and gentlemen, for a few more teases on the historical facts contained in Nana's book. These teases are compelling quizzes that should justify your buying and reading Nana's book. Did you know that the word dondology was actually invented by a student of the University of Ghana who wrote a letter to the Vice-Chancellor protesting the presence of the dondo on the serene, and to borrow Nana's description, rarefied University of Ghana campus, and complained of it lowering the standards of the university. Professor Nketia loved the word, and rather championed it abroad. Perhaps if all students protests in the past have been lettered and less militant, like in contemporary times, our diction would have been better richer for it. And did you know that Nana was responsible, or rather, Nana supported a project which involved Ghana refusing to pay its debt in the 1970s, resulting in somebody coining the word Yentuya, which famously became the trump card or the rallying cry for Ghana refusing to honor its debt of the 1970s, with dire consequences that everyone who knows a little about that should know. While Nana did not coin the word, Nana generated a memo that advised the Achampon government. Nana did not share the details of the memo, but I'm not sure what exactly he told Achampon's government. But given that that government refused to pay the debt, I think we can all guess what Nana said. Nana paints our woeful performances, resulting in the distress to a regime of poor handling of international transactions. Indeed, Nana did not hide the fact that he thought that Ghana shouldn't have paid some of its debts, especially in the 1960s. In his paper, The Challenge of Our Legal Heritage, presented before the Lagos Faculty of Law in 1975, the year I was born, Nana urged the integration of African customary law into the mainstream legal system. Having superintended the writing of the 1992 Constitution, a clear effort was made in that direction. So what does Nana think of the court's application of customary law? And I say this with the greatest respect, knowing I'm in the presence of my Lord the Chief Justice. Does he think that the subsidiary character of customary law promoted during the colonial era, symbolized in cases like Angu versus Atta, has been corrected by the introduction of Article 11 and the making of customary law a direct source of law? I urge you to read this book and form your impressions of its strong perspectives. But perhaps even more tellingly, Nana reviews that the transitional provisions of the Constitution did not originally form part of the work of the Constitution Review Commission, the Constitution Review Committee, and that this was actually added after that committee had concluded its work. I have painted the picture earlier in a different write-up, and I got it wrong by indicating that it was actually superimposed on Ghanaians, and Nana corrected me that that word he doesn't want to be associated with. Because as far as he was concerned, his committee did its work, presented its report. That portion of the Constitution wasn't part of his work. That's all he can say, without using specific words or tags. This piece of information did not appear under our thesis, did you know? Because this involves deep controversies, and the fact that the issue will not be resolved even after the lucid clarifications made on them in Nana's book. For that, therefore, the question remains open, the horse's own words of clarity notwithstanding. On the controversial issue of the scope of the presidential powers and whether they were excessive or proportionate to the functions of the president contemplated under the Constitution, Nana exhibited comportment of the true and exemplary academic that he is when he recanted his earlier position that the powers of the president were not excessive. It is apparent from the totality of his writings on this and my own personal engagement with him on the subject for some time that the realities over time may have compelled Nana to change his position. And the reality may actually be due to executive behavior over the years. It would seem from the historical record that the committee of experts did not necessarily favor the outcome arrived at in the current Constitution, but recommended a system with diffused powers for the president and other executive authority, notably a prime minister. The preference for a strong executive may seem to be the position of the Consultative Assembly, and Nana's current support for what I think is the dominant position solidifies the view of many and should hopefully drive the agenda for a nuanced constitutional change. I couldn't agree more with this view in a rather bizarre way that the difficulty was worsened by the Presidential Transition Act of 2012, which introduced discontinuity in governance like never before seen in Ghana, while counterintuitively augmenting the appointing power and patronages of the incoming president. In a similar vein, I share his views on the relative obscurity of the Council of State in the governance dynamics in the country, and the flaws of insisting that a majority of ministers of state came from Parliament, although he stopped short of describing what needs to be done in respect of the former. Coupled with the rather dysfunctional use of the procedure of certificate of emergency, Nana argues that the review and audit competencies of Parliament is often undermined in cases in which the institution is called upon to approve major transactions involving the government of Ghana and third parties. Our author's sentiment copiously vindicates the popular position, or rather the popular opinion, that the use of that procedure represents an abuse of process and a blatant means of reducing the accountability functions of Parliament to a perfunctory process. Your Excellency, my Lord the Chief Justice, Nana also touched on the vexed issue of constitutionality of private members sponsoring bills or initiating bills, and rejects the long-standing restrictive and self-limiting interpretation put on the provision by Parliament. Having been frustrated by the unnecessary limitation Parliament has placed on itself for some time now, I was pleasantly surprised, or rather impressed, when the former Speaker, Speaker Okwe, whom I say here respectfully, at a parliamentary induction training program in Kufuoria, hinted that he was going to encourage private members to sponsor legislations as he disagreed with the reading of Article 108, the restrictive interpretation. It is refreshing, Mr. Former Speaker, that our author sides with you, and that from that moment when you made that statement, you have actually followed through, and today my information is we do have private members' bill making progress in Parliament, one of which is quite famous. Nana's book also touches on the question of access to the Supreme Court and the seeming inundation of the court with many cases. The issue turns on the combined jurisdiction of the court, namely the appellate and original jurisdiction of the Supreme Court, and the issue of standing or capacity before the court. Our author expresses regret at the inundation of the apex court by cases, some of which should not ordinarily have ended up at the court. He confesses his preference for a more restrictive access, which would allow the courts to deal with core and fundamental issues of constitutionality and standing. Analyzing his position, it becomes evident that Nana is clearly not impressed with the trade-off achieved in the end, under which the preference for jurisdictional equity or access has trumped the ends of speedy and efficient justice. His prescription for constitutional amendment to restrict access is one I sympathize with, except to add, respectfully, and I was hoping, rather unjustifiably so maybe, that our venerable author would have echoed a position I have held, namely, the fact that the problem could be resolved by the creation of a specialized constitutional chamber out of the Supreme Court, with a mandate to only hear and determine constitutional cases. Thus, while the American model cited by Nana has worked well with or for the United States, the standard approach globally, and certainly the dominant one in continental Europe, has been the option of constitutional courts, whose specialty in determining constitutional cases make them both suitable and concentrated. This will solve Nana's worries on heightening the standards of accessing the Supreme Court's jurisdiction, including refining the boundaries of standing and courses of action before the courts. Reflecting his diversity of perspective on the thorny issues of governance, Nana's work contributed to the ongoing debate on local governance and the introduction of the elective principle in the framework designed. Having obviously articulated his position in the extant provisions of the Constitution, Nana was coy in his position on the raging debate on whether or not to elect our MMDCEs, while passively admitting a potential advantage of electing these officers of state. He argues, quote, "One conceivable merit of the admission of party politics in local government is that it will be conducive to the concept of inclusive government if elected DCEs and President of the Republic belonged to different political parties," unquote. Needless to say that Nana's argument draws attention to the drawbacks of the winner-takes-all menace, currently obtaining under the 1992 Constitution, with the appointing powers of the president used to promote the politics of patronage and alignment. The prospect of having different parties electing different officers for president and MMDCEs begs the question if electing MMDCEs may not split the unitary executive mandate created under Article 57. Although he has written extensively about it, Nana leaves the question untouched, and perhaps his reticence in developing an argument and stating a conclusive position may be due to his desire to allow the raging debate to continue and evolve without his major influence. Beyond the impressive volume and depth of scholarship contained in the book, this work is a resume in praise of life, work, and achievement of other stalwarts and compatriots of Nana. His description of experiences with the towering J.B. Darocha illustrates Nana's humbling acknowledgement of Mr. Darocha's eminence and learning, as well as his mentorship of him when they both returned to Ghana following the conclusion of their studies in Nottingham. His ready acknowledgement of the intellectual standing and weight of his African heroes, quote unquote, like Mr. Seth Amwako Owusu, the late Professor Yalbene, Judge Thomas Abuaji-Mensah, Dr. James Inti, Dr. Kweku Adair, Justice V.C. R.A.C. Crab, Professor Nketia, Professor Kwame Jechi, James Ni Tete Chenrehese, Dr. Seth Bimpombuta, among a host of other distinguished notable academics and personalities, speaks deeply to a man conscious of the academic community to which he belonged, and in which his own stellar achievements in academia and international service is reflected in the company he kept. Having been taught by at least two of these personalities, Professor Bene and Professor Jechi, myself, I have personal knowledge of some of the heroes Nana mentioned, and I'm convinced that Nana extols the virtues of these people with pristine truth and admirable candor. My student-oriented admiration of the two academics who taught me, beside their scholarship and felicities in teaching and delivery, has been fortified by Nana's overall endorsement of these as some of the best or finest brains our country has produced. Mr. Yalbene was particularly known to me and was my academic godfather, having received me into the Faculty of Law initially as a teaching assistant. Like many others, I believe that I share Nana's utter shock and grief in his tragic demise, the kind of which hopefully should not happen to any other person moving forward. Even more poignantly, our author testifies of His Excellency Kofi Annan's work and life, like few have done, bringing to the fore His Excellency Annan's achievement, like the UN Global Compact, and the warm humility in personal friendship with him that he shared with him, should endear everyone reading the book to Mr. Kofi Annan's legacy. As I read through the book, I sweated in search of things I could disagree to at least convince myself that I was doing some thinking in my review. Sadly for me, I failed. For so deeply thought through are his positions that as I read through the book, I found myself inevitably agreeing with nearly all his arguments, and as was often the case, his lamentations on Africa's failures. True biographies contain balanced stories of joy and pain, of triumphs and failures, and sometimes of glories and adversities. Knowing this, however, does not stop me from thinking that my secret pleasure of zeroing in on some juicy part of Nana's biography as Nana was going to be disappointed, at least from the standpoint of his professional development. For the truth is, personalities like Nana often exude, as I indicated, such excellence that it becomes difficult to picture, at least publicly, of any failures they may have experienced themselves. It therefore came to me as something of a shock as I read through the book. When I chanced on the fact that Nana had failed in his 3 attempts at joining the International Court of Justice. I have been at pains to reflect on this because for a man, the standing, gravitas, eminence, and quality of Nana, I say it without equivocation or exaggeration, that it is truly a loss to the ICJ that he was not facilitated onto the court in his triple attempts. The gaping testament of his work at the UNCTC, his scholarship in international law and transnational cooperation, and the experience and learning he brings would have truly been a blessing to the court. His microcosmic background as a village boy and blended sophistication spanning public service in Ghana and international civil service and lead constitutional reform consultant uniquely positioned him, like no other, as a judge of the ICJ, a position he never held. Perhaps the ICJ's loss was Ghana's gain, and Nana's dedication to the cause of his country, especially under the drafting of the 1992 Constitution, is clear for all to see. Given the volume and relevance in detail of Nana's book, I have an impossible task of summarizing this up in a review exercise within the time allocated. In content, this book provides an enchanting read and compelling material for everyone with the slightest interest in law, international diplomacy, chieftaincy, politics, and governance, as well as public policy. Its fluid style makes easy reading and assuages any boredom in the dry text or other discouragements occasioned by the density of size. The structure of the material is coherent and should endear itself to any reader with a penchant for organization and flow. Nana's wit and excellent combination of humor and tempered occasional self-deprecation should get even the most serious reader laughing now and then. And this is apt to create the needed intimacy and bonding between reader and author as you make your way through the pages. For the avid reader, will find some of the discoverable facts relayed here somewhat disconcerting, given the revelation of intricate details about the political history and evolution of our country, and how specific episodes of things panned out. For me, it was precisely that curiosity, that hunger of seeing the end of it, that spurred me on to read the book. This book is an exhilarating read, and tried as I did, I have barely scraped the surface of what I have shared. The devil is still buried in those details. And at this stage, I will say, with little shame, that I have had the pleasure to prediscover ahead of you. For many are the books you have read. You will read, but there will be none like this book. Do you know why? For if I speak with surprising equanimity on this, it is because I know that there will not be a biographical and critical essays piece to be authored by the lead author or consultant of the 1992 Constitution. A veritable international statesman par excellence, a chief of reputable eminence, a towering academic, and certainly village boy with a story for the ages. I would like to profusely thank Nana for the honor and opportunity to review his work. For those who stand in the moment of history, often have the significance of the time lost on them, and history is left to posterity to appreciate. I do not have the moment lost on me, and I'm grateful that I've witnessed this day and participated in it. And so I leave you with the inspiring guide of the Bible. We think of things that are notable, that we embrace efforts that are worthy of praise, and that we communicate things that are of good report. For Nana's life's enterprise certainly befits these. And the chronicling of his life in this book shows that the things of excellence he attempted and prevailed. And in those things that I invite you to think and applaud, and equally attempt excellence for your life. Thank you.
Let's welcome the veteran Sepewa player, Crunchy.
The Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Anano Matsna Nkonya, Ekuno Nianintina Moshiemu, Emamunina Tsnasio, Sayawaha.
No crow. My man, you are for Bintinia. Answer Namatua Sono, you was a man 9 pet. Baconco, a camiansa. I have to baby, I am with Samuel say. Nadiam pa na bakanipa. What you are now more call penny being chance. My young child wants some. I'm in Visual Mucha, sir. Abra Boston could be our po. Timania, my bro. And then continue. Bibi awaya ya sonko a ababu anchinu mada che entina ya burato no me ebese etwere tidi edi nkan no anasusubribi krobia Asante monio Akwabaye Moniko Ya mami ya awusi Ana na baro no One opani ya Asante Na muntie Edan wa no pa bi no afra no ka kira no se ne mnante bremu edi ni na me pesa me bo Kojobo aten sa na ye fra no Kojo be ko suku asama ma me kaya ya dene ko hwe suku mu na woni na mu ano onyame hira wo ano wa hira wo because by 1946 and we said the nkan kura population not here na sokore akura kete Odwan teacher ni fra na ka kira ni sas. Said ya no ma kono. Common trans no kwatwere bi na beboa. Kwa ka kira na mfafo a. Na fe ni yesre no. Na wo atemota no. Obusia ni be na wo ho. Ananom. Ya ma na nkotwere. And ye toss one is a finity and a papa catcher and said, I am Mr. Cobas. J.S. Cobas was a best son. Or Cotre Yama with me try. Now, book on the water, cow crab prof and answer Yana de Bahano, book on the bachelor. Or Bible drew her. Like I say, the global village, you know. Aba global national as international odidi muama sukunu ma me ka kira no kopia United Nations aye adwuma wo World Bank Safidie ya yetimu nso aya Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences obaye president awa aya Ghana constitution aya twere no waka ho bi ekeza so ma me anka nkire no anka ya hwerade o ebla no oti ametwa so mo ne adwuma pa wo ya me wo me ya enchirman so yule mfiri woda ade abako a ayama anigye ne se anu amanyina abafamu emu aburo kire kura ana amane yule mfiri kurom dia society ne de man no Asante akoma wo ankoda bia ye ne ni da so na wo foundation a wo de boa eno ma bebre ya mfum so na nanom nipa bia bankra ha onya beduru ha ono afra ne ma se mo na nanom ya bayifo ndema mo nkokura na se biem wanya pensem kumia wade ne nyina ma enche obekasa srembo asacha ya se wo so dade akodi ani nsam nana ma sawabe Brano aso kasa. Sawa nkwa. Kaso krabie. Brano aso kaso na brano aso. Kaso. Kasa na brano aso.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Osei Kwame Kranchi and Sewa on the Seprewa. Nana will kasa briefly in a short while. But before that, I want to introduce to you the chairman for today's function, who was called to the Ghana Bar in 1967, and after a short practice at the bar, joined the Council for Law Reports, and later started his career on the bench as a magistrate in 1972, promoted as a circuit court judge in 79, became a justice of the High Court in 86, was promoted to justice of the Court of Appeal in 91, and finally appointed a justice of the Supreme Court in 2002. Between 1981 and 1986, he was seconded by the Ghana government to the judiciary of Zimbabwe as a legal consultant under the auspices of the Commonwealth Secretariat in London. Between 2004 and 2006, he was again seconded by the Ghana government to the government of the Republic of the Gambia as its Chief Justice. In 2012, he retired as one of the senior judges of Ghana's Supreme Court after continuous service in many judiciaries for 40 years from 1972 to 2012. Our chairman has been involved in many national assignments, including the chairmanship of the Commission of Inquiry on the Creation of Regions, which increased the number of regions in Ghana from 10 to 16. He was also the chairman of the Consultative Assembly, which produced the current 1992 constitution by which Ghana is governed. Between 1974 and 2012, he was involved in a number of judicial reforms in Ghana, Sierra Leone, Zimbabwe, the Gambia, and Ethiopia. He was one of the two architects who designed and implemented Ghana's fast-track court system, which is the foundation of court automation in Ghana today. For many years, he chaired Ghana's court automation program of the Judicial Service, Court-Connected Alternative Dispute Resolution System, and the Judicial Training Institute of Ghana. He's lectured and made presentations at a number of national and international courses and conferences in relation to law and judicial matters in several places and judiciaries in many countries, including Gibraltar, Kenya, Toronto in Canada, Athens in Georgia, USA, Ethiopia, Swaziland, Ibadan University in Nigeria, ECOWAS Court in Abuja, Nigeria, Dakar in Senegal, Pepperdine University in California, USA, and many others. For his contributions to the developments of the law and judiciaries, he's been honored by the Law Faculty of the University of Ghana, the Law Faculty of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, the Law Faculty of the Cape Coast University, and the Ghana Bar Association. He received his latest honors in 2016 when the government of Ghana honored him with the Order of the Volta. In 2015, our chairman was admitted as a fellow of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences, was appointed a senior lecturer in the law of evidence at the Ghana Law School in 2010, a position he still holds even in his retirement from the bench. He's also been an adjunct lecturer on chieftaincy and traditional leadership from 2015 to date at the UPSA. Our chairman is a prolific writer. He's the author of several publications which include Practice and Procedure in the Trial Courts and Tribunals of Ghana, the second edition of which was published in April 2011, and The Essentials of the Ghana Law of Evidence, published in 2014. His latest book, which was authored by him and his son, Victor, of the Lancaster University, is The Law and Practice of ADR in Ghana. He's an ardent student and researcher in chieftaincy affairs, and that has resulted in the production of a book entitled The Law of Chieftaincy in Ghana, which is the only modern textbook on chieftaincy matters. His interest in chieftaincy matters makes him exceptionally suitable to chair this function. Ladies and gentlemen, with a resounding round of applause, let's welcome the chairman for today's function, the Honorable Justice S.K.B.
His Excellency, the Vice President, His Lordship the Chief Justice, Nananum, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, Nana, the author of the book, is my mentor. I have worked with him for many years, and I'm not surprised that he's been able to produce a book of this magnitude. Today's function marks the celebration of a man who every serious young man should endeavor to emulate. It is a celebration of what has been deliberately built up and developed for many years, almost from the day he was born till now, in his 90s. The book is in many parts. There are, however, 3 parts which are of special interest, considering the stature of the author. The first part covers the autobiography of the author. The other part covers governance and important information on chieftaincy, which he describes as critical essays. The third is on the making of chiefs and queen mothers. When one seriously reads the book, one cannot help but arrive at the conclusion that the book provides, among other things, landmark lessons which should be noted and practiced by all chiefs and queen mothers, as well as points of determination for the future role of chiefs in the governance of the Ghana. The life of the author as a chief epitomizes essential lessons for the lives and behaviors of chiefs and queen mothers. Recent history makes their observance essentially and mandatory. We are here to celebrate the outstanding achievement of a child of Ghana who, by his own efforts and aided by opportunities which came his way and which he never allowed to slip by. The book chronicles events in the life of a man who has been of immense service not only to his own personal family or village, but also to his tribesmen, his country, the Commonwealth of Nations, specialist world bodies like the World Bank. And to me, the real value of the book lies, firstly, on some fundamental behaviors required of chiefs and queen mothers if they are to continue to be unifiers of their own people, and secondly, in the lessons it provides on the factors considered as the qualifications for nominating and electing chiefs and queen mothers. There are many lessons to be drawn from the book, but what stand out most conspicuously are the lessons on qualifications and nomination of chiefs, the future of chieftaincy in Ghana, and lessons in respect of the behavior of chiefs and party politics. Firstly, the book emphasizes the principle that, quote, chiefs are born, but good chiefs are made, unquote. with extremely few exceptions, chiefs and queen mothers are born in that no one can become a chief unless he or she has been born in a royal family. The only popularly known exceptions are chiefs in a place called Abokobi in the Greater Accra region and Asebu in the Central region. In these two situations, one does not need to belong to any special family before becoming a chief or queen mother. Wherever the principle that chiefs are born is accepted, chieftaincy litigation based on the concept of belonging to the right royal family hardly arises. The author of the book we are here launching illustrates the first aspect of the principle in his book when he elaborates that his tool has never been subject to litigation on the basis of contestants vying or claiming to be royal families when indeed they are not. The second principle is that is illustrated by the fact of writing a book of such magnitude. Having written such book containing such massive instructions and lessons, it is almost inconceivable that the writer himself will fall foul of the principles of good chieftaincy manners which he espouses. Thirdly, the book emphasizes the necessity for the kingmakers to reconsider their criteria for nominating and electing chiefs and queen mothers. The author has been a member of, quote, the National House of Chiefs, the Council of State, member of the Judicial Council, a university lecturer, Solicitor General, employee of the World Bank, and many others. What these numerous but significant positions portray is that without education, none of these positions can be aspired to be occupied by any chief or queen mother. Under the laws of Ghana, a chief must be nominated to be a member of the police council, precinct council, district assemblies, judicial council, and a whole host of them. Currently, it is even being debated that there should be a second chamber which should be composed of chiefs. Now, how can a chief who cannot read or write or simply is semi-literate be appointed to any of these positions where the official language, obviously, is the English language. The official means of expression is the English language. What all these imply is that an illiterate or semi-literate chief who has no chance of fully serving his people as a chief by getting onto any of these important positions. It is not being advocated that if some vacancy falls or occurs to nominate a chief, only graduates or professors should be considered. Far from that, what is being advocated is that where vacancy for the position of the chief or queen mother occurs, and there are two or more contestants who are virtually equally qualified, preference should be given to the person who is better educated because he has better chance of serving his people more effectively and more meaningfully. The point put across or being made by these arguments is that an uneducated chief or semi-literate of a chief has no chance of getting to serve on any of the positions mentioned, and obviously making his people the better for them. At least the fact of the English language being the only medium of expression on these meetings of these institutions or positions show that, or should disqualify illiterates or semi-literates from becoming chiefs if there are better educated people available. Now, if you get to a situation where the only contestant are illiterates, there's nothing we can do. And in the past, arguments like this could never be voiced before chiefs because they would have been considered sacrilegious. But today, things have changed. Times change. And the point being made is that education is premium and should be considered as such in chieftaincy nominations and elections. Article 276 of the 1992 Constitution admonishes chiefs from engaging in active party politics. Chiefs who breach that provision and indulge in active party politics by deliberately either allying themselves to support particular parties know for sure that what they are doing is wrong, and that, in fact, literally, they provide grounds for their own deposition. But it is hoped that the chiefs who read the book of Nana will avoid breaching the section because, obviously, by getting to where he is without any attack on his position, the presumption is that he's be able to steer and serving so many political parties and governments because he refrained from getting involved in politics, as illustrated in the book. His Excellency, the Vice President, His Lordship, the Chief Justice, ladies and gentlemen, I know we have a lot to hear about the books. I shall therefore end here with my remarks. I'm sure with your cooperation and support, this function will be chaired successfully to an end by myself. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you very much, Honorable Justice Brobe, our chair for this book launch. And to introduce our author, I want to bring onto the stage Presidential Advisor on Gender and Development and daughter of the author, Angela Asante Esa.
Let me start by saying good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Your Lordship, Kwesi Enimeboa, the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, His Lordship Justice Alan Broby, the Asante representative, former Speaker of the House, Honorable Michael Quay, Attorney General, Mr. and Minister of Justice, Godfred Dami, Her Ladyship, Henrietta Mensah Bonsu, Justice of the Supreme Court, all protocols observed. Good evening. I didn't hear a hearty good evening. Okay, well, we'll take that. Nananum Pachomichiamo. Good evening. I have the singular pleasure of introducing the author of this magnificent book. I also have the singular privilege in this room to call the author by the name Daddy. A lot has been said about my dad. You know, we've heard about his illustrious career, we've heard about his achievements, but do we know the social side of Nana? This is what I want to share with you, that in addition to everything that he's done for this country, for his career, for the legal profession, he has been an amazing and formidable individual. He is one that exudes a lot of character, a lot of humility, and a lot of care for everyone who he meets. And I'm very, very proud to call him my father. I think that deserves a round of applause. There are a few funny things that you don't know about Nana. Nana was admitted to Achimota School in the early 1950s. What you don't know is that he was frequently kidnapped to the girls' dorm because they found him cute and cuddly. If you go back to his pictures during the Motown days, you will find that you'll never find Nana cracking a smile. And that is because he wanted to put on that exterior, and yet he was kidnapped 3 times a week to the girls' dorm for them to smudge at his cheeks. People don't know this. I'm going to get into a lot of trouble for sharing things like this. Nana also had the very good mind to marry my mother, who's a formidable Fanti woman, a nurse and midwife specialist by profession, and an entrepreneur. They produced 5 children, my sisters and brothers and myself. And let me just tell you about the 5 children, because it's not easy following in Nana's footsteps, but he's been such an amazing father to us and given us all the opportunities to be whom we are. We have my eldest brother, Adlai, who is a systems engineer and also an investment banker. Our second sibling is Joyce. She is a catering specialist. Third sibling is Dominic, who is a lawyer, Harvard trained, and once was the former worldwide regulator for Sunoco. Then you have my sister, who comes before me, Dr. Philomena Asante, a pediatrician, and also the bearer of 3 degrees. I hear she's working on a 4th one. And then you have myself, Angela Asante, humble me, presidential advisor, gender and development. I just wanted to share these small facts with you. If I don't mention the fact that Nana also finds time to play football with his 4-year-old grandson, I'll be in very big trouble when I get home. Kweku is an avid fan of his grandfather and often says, we actually named Kweku after Nana. So he's known as at school as not Kweku, but as Susubribi. And so we want to thank Nana and all his children and grandchildren together. He has 8 grandchildren in addition to his 5 children. And I stand in the stead of all of them, including my mother, to express our undying love and gratitude for all that you've done for us. We would not be anywhere without you. This book is a testimony. You know, he says to me, he's been saying to me since the year of his 80th birthday, you know, this is the year that I think I'm going to slow down. And here we are at his latest book launch, and he's 90 years old. Nana, you are a formidable person. You are my father, and I'm proud of you. Your Excellency, with your permission, I would like to introduce the author of this biographical book of essays, Nana Dr. S.K.B. Asante. Thank you so much.
His Excellency the Vice President, my Lord Chief Justice, Otumfua's representative, and I, Yaojebe II, Ojaho, I beg your pardon. Honorable Attorney General, Indian High Commissioner, Nananum, Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, if you allow me to cut the protocol short, former Speaker of Parliament, my old Angela, representative, members of the bench and bar who are here. First of all, I would like to thank His Excellency, the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, for his gracious support in sending his august representative in the person of the Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And I would like to thank the Vice President himself personally, Chief Justice, Otumfuo's representative, Jiahoho, all of you for coming to this function. Kofi Ebochi, thank you for your gargantuan review. Very illuminating. It was quite an effort to review that book. Thank you very much. I'd like to thank Justice Datiba for writing a very inspiring foreword. Ladies and gentlemen, as the title, subtitle suggests, this is a story about a journey from my village in Asokore. I call it village metaphorically. It is actually the capital of Asokore traditional area, to the global village. And I could spend some time talking about the village, but all of you are aware of the circumstances of the village in our time. There was no electricity, there was no pipe-borne water. We all walked barefooted to school. We had very, very dedicated teachers, and that's how we progressed beyond Asokore to Achimota and beyond. But from the Ghanaian village, I went to international service. That is what I mean by the global village. And by the global village, I would like to mention 3 or 4 projects. When I say the global village, I don't mean sitting in a very comfortable air-conditioned office in New York or in Washington. My kind of international service involved projects around the country, around the world, around the globe. For example, in 1968, I was sent with a group of international representatives to Seoul, Korea, to establish the Korea Development Finance Corporation. That was in 1968. This was a corporate entity, a development finance facility, which played a key role in the industrialization of Korea. Again, in 1980, when the Chinese established their open door policy of admitting foreign investment and dealing with transnational corporations from around the world, I was in the United Nations Center of Transnational Corporations, and the Chinese government invited our organization, together with other organizations, to come and discuss the whole concept of foreign investment and dealing with transnational corporations. So, as the Vice President used to say, you and I were not there. I can say emphatically that I was there. I was there when Korea started its industrialization through the establishment of this facility which channeled foreign exchange resources to Korea. At that time, Korea's per capita income was no higher than that of Ghana. Korea was emerging from the Korean War. I was there when China for the first time, started dealing with transnational corporations, admitting foreign investment, introducing market principles. We helped in formulating the law relating to this. So I was there, unlike the vice president who wasn't there in the other place. In my journey from my village to the global village, I have relied on many people. First of all, I'd like to mention the three women in my life, so to speak. My mother, who insisted on my going to school in 1938, when it was not fashionable to do so, and who sacrificed a lot to put me through elementary school at that time. My father was separated from my mother, so my mother helped me through elementary. My father came to my assistance during the secondary school age. Then my grandmother, who actually looked after me when my mother went away in her retail business, visiting Boise, Tarkwa, Dunkwar, Prestia, Kumasi, and even Accra. It was my grandmother who taught me the simple virtues of life. Although she wasn't a Christian, she knew what was right and wrong. And then my dear wife, Philomena, whom I met in 1958 in London as a student, and who has sustained me in all my international and national endeavors. She, on a number of occasions, she had to abandon her own profession, her own business, to follow me when I went to Yale, and then when I went to the United Nations. And the story which my daughter Angela gave about the academic endeavors of my children are principally due to her. Because when I was in the UN and the World Bank, traveled around the world, my wife was there. She's not very well, but I want to acknowledge her. Thank you very much. And then I want to mention my headmaster, S.K.B, elementary school, who literally dragged me in by the scruff of my collar to sit the entrance examination to Achimota. I didn't do it the first time. He urged me again, and I did it. And that was one, the mentor who eventually led me to win a scholarship to Achimota, and the rest followed. In my life, I have had many, many mentors. I will mention President and Mrs. Adeline Akufo-Addo. I knew them years ago. They actually came to my wedding in 1961, when everybody thought that the Akufo-Addos would not venture out for an unknown couple like us. Professors Harry Street and J.C. Smith of Nottingham, Professor McDougall of Yale Law School, Justin Oleno, Justice Fred Apelu, all these were mentors of mine. Mr. Sitendale of the United Nations, Tumfo Pokowaren, or Tumfo Setitu particularly, my elders of Wasapor Traditional Council, and my elders at Kufuru Diaspora, who are all here. Thank you very much for supporting me. Yes. So, I did mention the two projects which took me to Korea and China, but there was another project which is very interesting. In 1968, again, I went to Nigeria. This is when they had established 12 new states out of the 4 original regions, and I saw, the challenge in nation building in Nigeria. This is the time of the Biafran War. So Nigeria has survived. It's very, very interesting. And my 4th project was called Coming to Ghana to help in the Constitution, which I have covered in my book. The book deals not only with myself, but with various essays, as have been pointed out, various subjects in nation building and development. The book also recognizes others. It's not a book about myself alone. It's a book in which I show appreciation to others whose names have been mentioned. I will at this stage like to mention my sponsors. I'm very grateful to the Bank of Africa, the Ghana Arbitration Center, S.K.B and GOIL, who serve as sponsors. I'm grateful to Reverend Karina Kubusakode, Apostle Vincent and Annie Bente. I'm grateful to Professor Ansu Chireme, who is a representative of the Asante, himself a very distinguished scholar and a long-time professor at the Department of Communications at Legon. I'm grateful again to Jehovah and the Honorable Chief Justice. I could go on. The Honorable Attorney General, I'm grateful to you. All of you, I am grateful. Thank you very much.
Nana Fobi Cropper III, known privately as Professor Kwesi Ansu Chireme, communications scholar. Let's welcome him on the stage, representative of Otumfuo Asante.
Mr. Chairman, Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Dr. Alhaji Bawumia, Your Lordship, the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, former Speaker, Attorney General, Nananom, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I bring you greetings from Otumfuo Osei Tutu II, Asante Hene. He thanks you all for giving this wonderful support to his own Nana Susubribi Krobia Asante, Asante Asokorehini. Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I'd like to issue a disclaimer because I was just handed the program and there I saw that the Asante's representative was supposed to make remarks. So anything I say which is thoughtful is from the Asante. Anything I say which is not so thoughtful is from his representative. Mr. Chairman, great nations are built by great people. Great people who build great nations live very humble lives. And Nana Susubribi Krobia Asante is a great man who has lived a humble life, who has contributed so much to make our nation great. Sometimes one looks around and thinks that this is a blessed nation. If you have virtually everything, that should make us great. But somehow, it appears we are unable to manage anything. So when you read and hear about an intellectual colossus like Nana Susubribi Krobi Asante, you wish his words and deeds would be what all of us would try and live to make our nation great. Mr. Chairman, as I said, I was just asked here to say something as representative of Otumfuo the second, Asante Hene. I picked from the reviewer that, and in fact the chairman himself, that there's something about chieftaincy in the book. I can't wait to read it. And please read it and tell everybody to read it, because chieftaincy is about one of the most important institutions in our lives, which is so much under-researched. So much under-researched. So I can't wait to read it. And with that, I'll urge all here. Nana is an intellectual colossus. In fact, he's been a president of this prestigious body, the epitome of our national intellect, the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences. I don't know what else he would have done in life for me to say that he's an intellectual colossus. So I urge you all, on behalf of Otumfuo the Asante Hene, to patronize this work, to advertise it, to recommend it, so that we can get the best out of it. Thank you.
An elocution of lawyers, one of whom is going to introduce the Chief Justice. She's a lawyer of 25 years standing. Let's bring her to the stage, Mrs. Nancy Atiemu.
Thank you. Your Excellency, my lords, Nananum, ladies and gentlemen, our distinguished special guest was called to the bar in 1981 and entered private legal practice after serving as an assistant state attorney at the Attorney General's office in Kufurdia. His excellent work at the bar includes serving as a secretary of the Eastern Regional Bar Association and later as its president from 1998 to 2002, following which he was appointed a justice of the High Court and stationed in Accra. He was subsequently appointed a justice of the Court of Appeal in 2003 and elevated as a justice of the Supreme Court in 2008, positions from which he has written erudite judgments and legal opinions on constitutional and legal matters, which have become much sought after legal references. In addition to his work as a justice of the Supreme Court, he has served as a senior lecturer at the Ghana School of Law, and until his most recent appointment, he was the chairman of the Legal Aid Board and chairman of the Disciplinary Committee of the General Legal Council of Ghana. Ladies and gentlemen, what I am about to say next is particularly topical after Ghana's exhilarating performance in this World Cup season. My lord's professional contribution to the growth of football in Ghana and internationally deserves a special mention. He acquitted himself admirably as chairman of the Appeals Committee of the Ghana Football Association for 7 years, after which he was appointed by the world's governing body of football, FIFA, as a member of its Ethics Committee, and then made history in 2017 at the 67th FIFA Congress in Bahrain, when he was elected as chairman of its disciplinary committee, an enviable position from which he resigned following his appointment by His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the President of the Republic, to the position he now holds. In his own words, he has long held the author in the highest regard and admiration. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we have as our special guest to perform today's launch the head of the Judiciary and the Judicial Service of Ghana, the Chief Justice of the Republic, His Lordship Justice Eni Yeboah. My Lord.
Mr. Chairman, Your Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana, Ministers of State herein present, the Honorable Attorney General and Minister of Justice, my lords of the Superior Court of Judicature, President of the National House of Chiefs, Nananum Asante, his representative, members of the Ghana Bar Association, eminent personalities herein gathered, Director, Deans and staff of the Ghana School of Law and Law Faculties, herein present, former Vice Chancellors of University of Ghana, including my own lecturer, Professor Akila Pasoya, the former Commissioner for Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, former Speakers of Parliament, members of the Diplomatic Corps, the clergy, distinguished guests, our friends from the media, ladies and gentlemen. It is my great pleasure and honor to join you at this historic two-in-one event to celebrate a greatly long life and launch a scholarly compilation by a man who, among a litany of attributes, is an astute legal luminary, an accomplished university lecturer in law, a venerable public servant and diplomat par excellence with the royal edifice around him, Nana Dr. Susubribi Krobia Asante, Paramount Chief of Asokore, Mampo Traditional Area. Physically cute, but intellectually huge, Nana Dr. S.K.B. Asante was outstanding in high-profile positions locally and internationally, including Solicitor General of the Republic of Ghana, Deputy Attorney General, and United Nations Center on Transnational Corporations. In such capacity, Nana Dr. S.K.B. Asante is credited with providing vital technical assistance to his motherland, which enabled Ghana to establish its petroleum regime, including model petroleum contracts, which triggered the flow of investment in that sector. As the saying goes, no matter how thick the darkness is, one small candle can wipe it out. In contrast, Nana Dr. S.K.B. Asante is that candle personified. Before his emergence on the scene, ruthlessly exploitative agreements and the developmentally inimical concept of investor ownership of natural resources had enveloped the mining and timber industries in thick darkness, with incalculable economic consequences to the state. Nana Dr. S.K.B. Asante rallied to the aid of our young nation and graciously provided the technical candle which wiped out the darkness and led Ghana, for instance, to acquire 55% stake of all foreign-owned mining and timber concerns operating in the country. These and other vital interventions justifiably make him the chairperson of resource nationalism. At this juncture, it is significant to echo cautionary voice of Nana Dr. S.K.B. Asante in his article on restructuring transnational mineral agreements. He writes, and I quote, "While politicians and diplomats are against the iniquities of the international economic order, with a flamboyance that captures headlines, professional men such as lawyers, accountants, economics, engineers, and appraisers should focus on the more prosaic but equally vital aspects. We should unravel the full technical implications of the legal, accounting, financial, or engineering concepts usually associated with the system in order to pave the way for a meaningful restructuring of North-South economic relations," unquote. In the face of the cultural obsessive and compulsive partnership in Ghana, Nana Dr. S.K.B. Asante exemplifies unquestionable political neutrality and untainted loyalty to the state. He also offers a fountain of lesson from which the rulers and the ruled should all drink. That is, people should not be entrusted with certain technical positions or sensitive national assignments which are beyond the confines of their intellectual or professional capacity, no matter how well connected they might be politically. Furthermore, the state must ensure at all times that quality service and infrastructure are delivered at value for money cost. In the area of democracy and good governance, Nana Dr. S.K.B. Asante occupies a special place in history as chairman of the Committee of Experts which produced the 1992 Constitution. No constitution is whiter than white, and no democracy is purer than pure. It is also true that the 1992 Constitution, with its all defects, is the longest serving in the history of Ghana, while the fundamental underpinnings of our democracy remain intact, despite all the strains and stresses. All this is a colossal testament of the professional solidity and immeasurable contribution of Nana Dr. S.K.B. Asante to the country's constitutional governance and sustainable development. It is highly remarkable how from the life of obscurity in a village, Nana Dr. S.K.B. Asante rose to national eminence and global prominence. In the international arena, spanning the United Nations, World Bank, just to mention a few, Nana Dr. S.K.B. Asante held aloft the flag of Ghana. Take away Kofi Annan and a few others, most of our top diplomats, dead or alive, will struggle to match the caliber of Nana. More noteworthy and profoundly commendable is his decision to return home to help advance the cause of national development, purify the culture of democratic good governance, and offer unparalleled leadership to his native people of Asokore in Asante. Indeed, His Royal Majesty Otumfuo Osei-Tutu II, Asante was spot on in his selection of Nana Dr. S.K.B. Asante to serve in the National House of Chiefs. His record in the Committee of Chiefs speaks volumes of incredible solidity. This record is replicated at the National Peace Council, where he plays an instrumental role in the building and preservation of peace in Ghana. Currently, Ghana is ranked as the second most peaceful nation in Africa. No doubt, Nana Dr. S.K.B. Asante deserves a due share of this dazzling achievement. Mr. Chairman, the present and past staff of our own backyard, the Judicial Service, are externally grateful to the accomplished law lecturer, venerated statesman, and revered chief for competently chairing a committee which improved their service conditions not long ago. Nana, your presence on the Judicial Council meant a lot for the Ghana's judiciary, and we are grateful. It is said that the quality of a man's life is not measured by its duration, but by its contribution to humanity. In terms of both quality and longevity, Nana Dr. S.K.B. Asante is a reference point for the present generation and generations yet unborn. Throughout his 90 good years on the planet Earth, he has given up ownership of himself in the service of Asokore Mampong, Ghana, Africa, and the whole wide world. In his book, Nana Dr. S.K.B. Asante pledges, as he puts it, to continue to research, publish, and occasionally teach or lecture. May the giver of life grant him good health, long life, and intellectual astuteness to accomplish his noble, human-centered wish. The distinctive quality of his book, I am about to launch, commends itself to all the superlatives you can think of. I will restrict myself to a few: a masterful, insightful, and instructive piece which can stand the test of time. The cocktail of subjects the book treats will immensely contribute to the advancement of development, illumination of society, enlightenment of the public, preservation of history, conservation of culture, and education of people in specialized areas like resource nationalism, constitutional law, criminal law, international law, chieftaincy, leadership, and democratic good governance. I particularly recommend that the book be consumed by policy planners and implementers, development experts, lawyers, law students, generally, accountants, politicians, diplomats, and all who aspire to reach the dazzling heights Nana Dr. S.K.B. Asante gloriously attained. There is no iota of doubt that Nana Dr. S.K.B. Asante has given his all to our dear nation Ghana. In the name of reciprocity, the time for the state to honor him fittingly is now. Failure to do so will be an absolute travesty. Now I come to the main function for which I am here. It is with a great honor that I declare the book, Critical and Biographical Essays of Nana Dr. S.K.B. Asante, from an African village to the global village, embark duly launched. Distinguished guests, I thank you for your kind support and attention. May the God bless us all.
Thank you, His Lordship Justice Kwesi Eninyebua, Chief Justice of Ghana, for your remarks and the launch of this very heavy book, Critical and Biographical Essays of Nana Dr. S.K.B. Asante. Ladies and gentlemen, we now have remarks by our special guest of honor, who is His Excellency, the Vice President of the Republic of Ghana. Let's rise as we welcome Alhaji Dr. Mahamadou Bawumia.
His Lordship, Chief Justice Eninyebua, the President of the National House of Chiefs, Ojeahoho Yao JB, Representative of the Asante Hene, Your Excellency, the Indian High Commissioner, Kwapredami, the Attorney General and Minister for Justice, Dr. Mary Chinere Hesse, Justice Henrietta Ensabus, Justice Yoni Kolendi, Professor Mike Okwe, former Speaker, Professor Kofi Abochi, Professor Ernest Aite. I could continue with professors for the next 10 minutes. So let me say all protocol observed and proceed. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Nananum, it is really an honor and a privilege to have the opportunity to be here for this important book launch by the Venerable Professor S.K.B. Asante, the Paramount Chief of Asokori. I'm here to represent my boss, the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, who is currently on national assignment, and he would have been here for sure. He was really looking forward to being here if he was in the country. So apologies for his not being here. But we are really here to celebrate a great man, very well-educated man, very highly educated man, from Achimota to Nottingham University, to London University, Yale University, really quintessential scholar and academic, distinguished career as an international lawyer, a public servant, diplomat, Paramount Chief, and we all know what the role he played as the chair of the board, governing secretariat from the 1992 Constitution. The book chronicles a remarkable life journey, what he calls the improbable journey from the African village to the global village, and then back to the African village. And if you look at the people who are in attendance here today, the weight of the people here today really tells you the weight of our author, Professor S.K.B. Asante. He's an outstanding person with a remarkable life of achievement. It's one of the finest brains we have produced as a country, and therefore is an asset. So when he writes a book at the age of 90, it is a book that we should all read. All the experience is in there. All the wisdom is in there. The book is really a gift to the nation because a great man like Nana Professor S.K.B. Asante ought to be studied. He's a role model in every sense of the term. Nana, on behalf of His Excellency the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, I say congratulations. God bless you. God bless you and give you long life. And may you continue to write. Ayuko, thank you for your attention.
When I read about the Yentua bit, I was surprised. The Constitution, so many things that happened in our history, and it's all been captured in this wonderful book, Critical and Biographical Essays. And it's now time for us to support the author. So with the auction, this is where my friends look away from me, but it's an occupational hazard because I'm going to ask for money. But luckily I have Winneba Youth Choir who give me some nice music in the background to help with the raising of the funds during the auction. Thank you so much, Winneba Youth Choir. So, a couple of rules governing the auction. First of all, I'm going to use just 20 minutes of your time. For those of you who want to go and watch football, I'll finish in enough time for you to go and watch the football that's going on at the World Cup. So, we take anonymous donations as well. Not a problem at all. So if you decide not to reveal your identity, but you want to support the author, it's great. Cardinal rule, if you are not giving, you are clapping, which means if somebody gives, you clap and give them support. Okay, so if you're not giving, but somebody has given, you clap. All right, thank you. If I see your hands raised, I will assume that you're calling me for a donation and I'll come. So if you have the temptation to rearrange your hairstyle, do it now. Because anything after that will be counted as a buying signal. The third rule is that betrayal is allowed. So if you don't want to give or can't give, but you know somebody near you who can give, you can just point. And let's make this fun. Let's make this exciting. And it's all for Nana. All right, breaking news. Winneba, please drop it down for me. The music is working. Music is working. So the President of the Republic is buying the first copy for the sum of 50,000 cedis. If you're not buying, you're clapping. And his representative here in the person of the Vice President is also buying a copy at the price of 20,000 Ghana cedis. So, thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Vice President. What a way to kick off. I hope this is the kind of explosive start we'll have on Friday when we deal with those Uruguayans for the final time. Yeah, explosive goals and we are done. And we can enjoy our Farmers' Day. All right? So thank you so much. Just raise your hand if you want to contribute. It could be representing your organization, your company, your old school, your firm. We'd be happy to take. You can come together and also decide as a combine to buy the book. Ladies and gentlemen, the Vice President respectfully requests to depart. He has another pressing assignment, but we thank him for his gift and for the donation of the President. So the Vice President leaves us. Thank you so much. Alhaji Dr. Mahamudu Baumia. Thank you. All right, and just as the Vice President leaves, another piece of breaking news. So we have an offer. Can you bring it down for me a little bit, Winnie? Thank you so much. So 5 plus 85 will give you 13,500 CDs, which is broken down as follows: 5,000 from Ojeo Hoho Yajebi II. That is his personal contribution. Let's hear it for him. And then he's buying 17 copies of the book, one for the National House of Chiefs, and then 16 for the various regions. Yes. So the various presidents of the various regional House of Chiefs. So that's So that's 8,500 plus 5,000. That's 13,500. So Nana Ojeo Hoho Yajebi II. Thank you so much. Edawase. All right, so great. So we're doing well. Thank you. Former President Kufuor has given us a donation of 5,000 Ghana cedis. Thank you so much. Thank you. All right. Let me test your mental. We used to have mental when we were in primary school back then. And every wrong answer was rewarded with a knock by a very wicked wooden ruler. There's no ruler here. But we have 50 plus 20 plus 85 plus 5. What is that? So the Attorney General also is making a contribution of 5,000 Ghana cedis. Paul, can I get a pen, please? Can I get a pen? Okay. Nana was the first chairman of PURC. PURC is buying a copy for 10,000 Ghana cedis. If you're not buying, you're clapping. So PURC 10. President Kufuor, that's a 5 there. Thank you very much, PURC. Thank you, President Kufuor. Thank you, Ojeo Hoho. Thank you, Vice President. Thank you, Mr. President. We are still taking offers. I like the way people come up to me quietly and whisper something and then make a donation. I'm really happy. His Lordship the Chief Justice, 4,000 Ghana cedis. Thank you very much. Thank you. So PURC, this gentleman there in the purple and he's a vandal. Just ask for the vandal, he'll tell you. Yeah. Thank you, Chief Justice. Now, when people are coming towards the table, I think they're coming to give me an offer, which is quite good. I like it. All right. So we're doing well. Thank you so much, all of you. You're very generous. Thanks to the Attorney General as well for buying a book for 5,000 CDs. Thank you so much. Thank you. We're doing very well. So we're at 107.5. It sounds like a radio frequency. 107.5 Ks. Thank you so much. The director of the Ghana Law School, Mr. Yaopong, left a donation of 3,000. Let's make sure that it will be recorded that there was a round of applause for him. Mr. Yaopong, 3,000 CDs. Thank you. Ghana Law School. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. We're taking office. I have about 10 minutes left. 10 minutes, and then I'm done. And then we hear from the publisher, the editor, and then we are done. Thank you so much. Just raise your hands. I'll send the ladies over to you, and you will be supporting Nana. Okay. The former Right Honorable Speaker of the House, Professor Michael Quay, 2,000 CDs. Thank you so much. Thank you for your support. We're happy. We are so happy. Something is coming. Yeah, let it come. Asokori Rural Bank PLC, 2,000 CDs. Thank you. If you're not giving, you're clapping. I beg you. Asokori. Apostle Eric Nyamiche, Church of Pentecost, Chairman, 1,000 CDs. And Apostle Anani Dente, 500 Ghana CDs. Thank you so much. If you're not giving, you're clapping. So, our Honorable Chair, Justice Broby, 4,000 CDs. Thank you so much. Representing the Chairman of the Council of State, Nana Otuo Sribo, 1,000 Ghana CDs. Let's hear the applause, please. Thank you very much. We're almost done. More are coming in. Ebo Quagreen, PURC, 2,000 CDs. Thank you. Thank you very much. Ebo. Andy Asamoah, 2,000 CDs. ANC Mall. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Andy. Shorebell Consulting, 2,000. Shorebell. Thank you. Thank you very much. If you're not buying or giving, you are clapping. You're clapping. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Asokori Traditional Council, 2,000 CDs. Thank you very much. Very generous audience. We are grateful. Nana Entry Penny, Koforidua Asokori Hini, 1,000 CDs. Mami Dufie Ogwe, 1,000. Mami Dufie, thank you. All right, 4 minutes to go. Kweku Asai Bonsu, 1,000 CDs. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, all of you. We're almost done. Grateful for your support. If there are any thousands in the house, any 500s in the house, we'll gladly take them to support Nana so they can write another book. Yes, in his 90s. A model of excellence and hard work. Thank you, Nana. Dr. Pete Dakwa, also the first 500 Ghana CDs. Thank you. If you're not giving, you're clapping. Thank you. So, grandson of Nana Erika Jiku, $70. What's our rate these days? What's our rate these days? 15, right? Thank you very much. Former MP for Asokori, Honorable Boachi. Thank you so much. 1,000 CDs. Thank you so much. We're almost out of books, please. We are now in time added on. Thank you. I can see 5 more here. Let's buy them all. Don't say, I came and I couldn't get the books. Say $500 CDs. Thank you so much, Prof. Ayite. Angela Asante and family. Angela Asante is Presidential Advisor, Gender and Development. 1,000 CDs. Thank you, Angela. Support Daddy. It's good. Five more of the books to go. We're looking for offers. 500, 1,000. We'll take them. 5 more of the books to go. Just raise your hand. We'll give you the book. Support Nana. Thank you. Four more going. 4 more. 4 more for you. 4 copies of the book. Please stick around and get autographs from Nana before you go. Thank you. 4 more of the books left. Just raise your hand. We'll pick it up for you. Okay, 1 is gone. 3 to go. 3 to go. It was 4, now it's 3. 3 more and I'm done. To go. Just 3 more. Two to go. 2 to go. 2 more. 2 to go. Thank you very much. Such a generous audience. So raise your hand. We'll bring you the books. 2 more to go. Then we'll hear briefly from the publisher. We'll do the vote of thanks. And then we are done for the day. Last one to go. Last one. Last one. Kwakwe last stop. Last one to go. Last one to go. Awesome. Ghana GCB Bank, 5,000 CDs. Let's put an answer for GCB Bank. Awesome. Felix Addo and Emmanuel Hansen. Emmanuel Hansen is a vandal. Thank you very much. 500 Ghana CDs. We're done. All right. Thank you.
There you go.
Mr. Chairman, Honorable Justice Stephen Lambrobe, Honorable Dr. S.K.B. Asante, Nanom, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It's a great privilege to be able to present DigiBooks as the publishers of this manuscript book, Critical and Biological Essays of Nana Dr. S.K.B. Asante, from an African village to a global village and back. I would like to thank Nana for giving DigiBooks the opportunity to publish this critical book. It has been a great pleasure working with you through the conception, birth, and now the adoring of this great book. We have much enjoyed your dedication to excellence and attention to detail through the whole period we worked together. We hope our partnership shall continue well into the future. I would also like to thank the editor, Mr. Kofi Akwabi, for his dedication for steering the editorial work on this book. My next thanks goes to my wife and the team from DigiBooks for all their hard work and professionalism to ensure that this publication is such a great success. I have only one key message to give this afternoon. To quote from Chinachewe, until the lion tells the story of this part of the story, the tale of the hunter will always glorify the hunter. The world is ignorant of Africa, and it's our responsibility to enlighten them by contributing our perspective not only in areas of dominant academic resource, but also depicting our artists' beliefs and behaviors and leave a true legacy for our children. And to quote from Winston Churchill, history will look only at Nana because he has shared his life story from an African village to a global village and back with us. He has shared only a fraction of the huge role he has played in our nation building. How will history look at you and majority of us who have contributed immensely to building our nation but have not written and will sadly be interned for our rich memoirs? Ghana's history can be told through the life stories of the men and women who are in the forefront of its development. May I take this opportunity to encourage our diplomats, soldiers, politicians, reverends, entrepreneurs, and all people of all walks of life to write the contribution to the nation building. It is not easy writing a story, and a story that needs to be told well. This is where DigiBooks can help. DigiBooks has a team of researchers who can work with you at your own pace to capture your experiences in various forms on tape at your own convenient time, transcribe the recordings, write for you to edit and approve. DigiBooks will support you through the life cycle of book development, editing and book design, launch and distribution locally and internationally through the internet and on Amazon and other portals. DigiBooks would like to be your publisher of choice. We are dedicated to continue driving significant contributions to Ghana and African literature of wealth. If you have a book to publish or think of publishing a book, please contact us for our services. Our details are at the back of the program. After this program, books could be sold at the door. And after today, copies of the book could be obtained from all Kingdom bookshops in the country, EVP Bookshop, Legon, Airport Shell, and Powerhouse. You can also buy online on Amazon, digibooks.com, and Book Nook Store. Finally, thank you all for taking your time off your busy schedule to come to support the adoring of this unique book. Do not leave without grabbing the book for yourself and for a friend and a friend's friend. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, all protocols observed. I'm here on behalf of Nana Dr. S.K.B. Asante, My task is to express gratitude to all of you distinguished guests here gathered and those online who have contributed to a very successful book launch. I'm also here on behalf of Nana celebrants to perform a roll call of nearly all the personalities and institutions who have actively supported the launch of this book as well as the making of this book. I said nearly all because for a publication project of this magnitude, singling out names is nearly an impossibility, but we will try. So I'd like to begin by thanking the Vice President, His Excellency Alhaji Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. I'd also like to thank the representative of Asante Ostumfuo Osei-Tutu, the second, represented by Professor Ansu Chirebe, my own professor who taught me African Indigenous Communication. His Lordship, Justice Kwesi Enin-Yeboah, thank you. Honorable Justice Stephen Alambrobe, thank you for chairing this event successfully. Professor Justice Samuel Kofi Dateba, who enriched the book with his foreword. Thanks also go to Gold Ghana Limited, GCB, Ghana Arbitration Center, Bank of Ghana for sponsorship, chiefs and elders of Asante Asokore and Koforidua Asokore, the president of National House of Chiefs, Ojiahoho Yao Jebi II, Professor Kofi Abochi, thank you for your review, which we enjoyed. Professor H. Kwesi Prempe, Justice Dennis Ejay, Dr. Agnes Akosia Edu, thank you very much for the blurbs you provided. His Excellency, the Ambassador of India, Shugandi Raja Ram, we are very grateful for your presence this evening, sir. Mrs. Nancy Atiemu, Director, Legal Services, PURC, the Director of State Protocol, we are grateful. Ms. Angela Asante, Presidential Advisor on Gender and Development, thank you. Very Reverend Helena Opoku-Sarkodie, Tema Joint Church, and Apostle Vincent Anani Dente, my brother, thank you both for coming. Miss Angelina Osafo, Miss Anna Obeng, I remember the tough times, the long hours, but at last we have achieved. DigiBooks, we are grateful. Dakpabli and Associates, all the media houses, Winneba Youth Choir, we can go on and on. Finally, Mr. Chair, distinguished guests, I would also want to thank the one who makes all things possible, God Almighty. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. May I crave your indulgence to ask the House to stand to our feet as we take the closing prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we are most grateful to you for your grace. We thank you for extending your mercies and protection to us, even for us to be part of a program for the launch of critical and biographical essays of Nana, Dr. S.K.B. Asante. We appreciate the fact that your grace has been sufficient throughout the whole program. We pray and commit each and every one of us here into your hands. that, Lord, as we are going back to our places of abode, you take absolute control over us and you protect us, guide our steps, so that as we go, Father, we go safely to your own glory, and we also continue to pray and commit our dear revered chief into your hands, that you continue to sustain his life, bless him and grant him grace, so that whatever that you are blessing with, Father, will in turn be a blessing to us in this generation and beyond. At the end, we will have every cause to give thanks and adoration unto your name. We pray that, Lord, be with us and be with us forevermore. Now may the Lord God Almighty continue to be with us. We bless and bless every one of us in the name of God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.